Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Monday, and all of today's guests, including Moj, standing by, sponsored by Passant Motors, ready to find your next vehicle. Visit Passant Motors today to experience the difference for yourself. The friendly team looks forward to helping you drive home in the perfect vehicle for your needs and budget. Getting to your destination starts with them. Stop by their dealership, 16315 Fraser Highway in Surrey, or check them out online at PassantMotors.com. BC Lions win their season opener 31-14 over Edmonton. Lions at Winnipeg. Quick turnaround on Thursday. Snoop was there on Saturday. So was Moj. Bob Marjanovich, voice of the Lions on CKNW 730. I will never get used to saying that. Joins us now. Moj, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
Good morning, DT.
Okay. All right. Explain the background if you can.
It's a young Don Taylor, I believe, playing minor hockey for P&E.
Yeah.
Probably at the Forum. It's amazing what you can find on that internet thing. So yeah. I love that background. I figured I'd honor you by posting a picture of you in your heyday.
Some would say now is my heyday, but I tell you what, it was such a big deal to be on a rep team for that association. I love those uniforms. They're a Montreal-ish. It was such a big deal to get that uniform. Good times.
You know what? I have more of a Ranger vibe to it, right?
Yeah.
With
the red pants. Yeah.
I'm surprised cameras were invented at the time you were playing.
All right, Henderson. You got to be on your best behavior, otherwise Moj is coming after you. All right, Moj, better performance Saturday. Lions, Snoop Dogg, or you doing play-by-play? Who came out on top?
I'll tell you what, anything was better after that exhibition game in Edmonton. Probably my worst call ever. We worked out after. It was like 42 different players touched the football. Hello.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
I would say probably Snoop Dogg. I think the Lions have a lot to work on. They had a really good second half. However, the first half kind of left a lot to be desired. But, hey, they cleaned it up. They improved, and they're trending in the right direction.
I know what you're like, Moj. We all know what you're... Did you meet Snoop? Did you get his autograph? Any pictures?
No, not at all. And I've seen him twice before. I told the story on air. I met him. I saw him at the Super Bowl party, the DirecTV party in San Francisco when he was there with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was a great concert. So we're in Minnesota at the Playboy party. Mm. And about a month before, I had... probably like in December, I'd gone to Phoenix right before the holidays, and I saw this guy in the airport. He had like this really cool Raider leather jacket on, and kind of made acquaintances with him. I said, "Hey, man, I really like your jacket." And he was like, "Hey, no worries." Right? We started talking about the Raiders and this and that. He was from the Bay Area. So then I go to this Playboy party in Minnesota, the Playboy party, and Snoop's spinning, right? He's doing his thing there. And I look up on stage, and it was a small stage. It was almost like in a high school gym or something. It might have been maybe like 300-400 people there tops. It wasn't that big. And there was a stage, and behind him there was like 8 high chairs. And the guy that I saw at the airport was in one of the high chairs. It turned out to be, and I called him over. I said, "Hey, you in Vancouver about a month or two ago?" "Yeah," and we started chatting. His name was Mac Sean 100. He was part of Snoop's entourage. He's a rapper from the Bay Area. And the next thing you know, we're up on stage doing tequila shots, watching Snoop perform, and it was quite the night. So never met Snoop, but I came pretty close. Met one of his entourage people.
Well, you know what? We're out of time. Hey, you mentioned this as we move on. Tough segue. Maybe a little frustrating for the Lions in the first couple of quarters. But what did you think of their second half performance, in particular the performance of number 12, Nathan Rourke?
Yeah. I think, the second half, they kind of figured a couple of things out, and they played rather well. I mean, Nathan has looked really good all year long, whether it's camp, whether it's the exhibition games. He's been on point. He was 8 for 8 in Edmonton. The one thing that really impressed me about Nathan, we kind of had a little fun with him after the game, was his elusiveness and whether or not he's quicker. And Nathan believes he is, right? So he's done some off-season training. And that's what really impressed me was his mobility to escape the pressure, especially on that, 107-yard drive
Yeah.
where he escaped the pressure twice. So that was an element to his game that I think we either forgot about or neglected, but that's what probably impressed me as well was his ability to avoid the rush and make things happen with his legs.
Did he look better Saturday than at any time last year, Moj?
I think so. I think the big thing with Nathan is this, and I've harped on this. Last year when he came back from his NFL odyssey, it was first off, it was an awkward situation in the sense that it was Vernon Adams' team, and he was asked to come in and be the quarterback. So awkward situation. And Nathan mentioned this. Given what he went through in the National Football League, every throw that he made, there was pressure on him. And he felt like if he made a mistake, it would cost him, right? It cost him reps or cost him a depth chart spot, whatever. And he said it took him a while to let that go. And finally now, I think this year in training camp, he can take a risk and not have to worry about, losing reps or being cut or being pushed down the depth chart or whatever the case may be. So his mindset is different. He's playing with a lot more confidence, knowing that, if he does make a mistake, hey, it's not a big deal. We'll pick it up on the next snap. So I think that's the big thing. And, it just seems rejuvenated. He's having fun again. Football is fun. There's not that pressure of having to go out there and, if he doesn't go 6 for 8, he winds up getting cut by the Falcons or the Giants or whoever.
Moj, Buck Pierce, first win as head coach in his first game as head coach of the Lions. What did you see from his offense and his team in his debut as Lions head coach?
Well, started off a little slow in the first half, and I think a big thing there was their troubles on third down. 3 times they had an opportunity to convert on, second and short, third and short, a couple times, and they failed to do so. I think that's something that they're going to have to address. The one thing about Buck Pierce, though, Donnie, you'll like this, is that, I think he's really connected with this team. I mean, you saw the Gatorade shower at the end of the game with McInnes and Hatcher, but, when he goes into the locker room and they show that footage and the players are chanting "one of us," which is kind of an honor thing that they do. They do it sometimes for, retired players or staff members or whatever. Them chanting "one of us" really said, hey, this team is really buying into Buck Pierce. And, you talk to the players at practice. I talked to them in training camp in Kamloops. They're so excited, especially the guys on the offense, given what they do and the variety of things that they do with Buck Pierce's offense. They're excited, and I think they've really kind of bought into Buck Pierce.
You just mentioned Keon Hatcher and Justin McInnes at the end there with the Gatorade shower, but the star wide receiver of the night was Stanley Berryhill. 2 third-quarter touchdowns, 105 receiving yards and 6 catches. Is this going to be a name Lions fans hear a lot of this season?
Well, I think I think it's going to be on a rotating basis. Like all the players on offense talk about the fact that they're just going to go wherever there's an opening, where there's a weakness in the defense. And this game, it was Stanley Berryhill. Next week, it could be Justin McInnes. The week after that, it could be Keon Hatcher. But here's the thing about Berryhill. He missed a lot of time in camp, right? And at one point, Julio Caravan and I, there were so many good receivers in camp. We said, is Berryhill in trouble here? Is he one of these guys that could wind up losing a roster spot? And, they had faith in him. They kept him despite the fact that he missed 7 to 10 days in camp with an ankle injury. And he talked about that on the postgame show with us, was that, they showed a lot of faith in him. And, he felt like he had to validate that faith, and he did with a big game. And by the way, the play fake was Xander Horvath on that play. I mean, that was, they got me on it, and they also got about 2 or 3 Edmonton Elks. It's one thing when you run play action. It's one of those little things when you run any sort of play action or any sort of misdirection, you have to sell it. And man, did the Lions do a great job of selling it on that play. And while, Berryhill was wide open, just blew by Royce Metier.
What about Trey Ford? How impressed were you with him? I know his numbers weren't great, but in terms of keeping plays alive, Moj, Flutie-like.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Trey Ford has the ability to make the hard plays, escape the pocket, do something. You're right, Flutie-like ability. I mean, there was one play where Matthew Betts lost contain, and I'm watching the play itself, and then I saw it on the replay. Betts is motoring. Like any other quarterback in the league, he would have tracked down. Betts has some pretty good speed, and Ford just left him in his wake, right? But Trey Ford doesn't make the easy plays. That's where he's got to improve. Like, the play where the receiver got lit up by Deontay Williams, where it was Arkell Smith, I believe, just got lit up by Deontay. They were playing zone in that instance. And I asked Julio, isn't a receiver supposed to throttle down in a zone? Donnie, you remember Ronald Nehemiah, San Francisco 49ers. We're dating ourselves, but a guy who ran through the zone. And guess what? There's somebody waiting for you on the other end. So you have to what we call throttle down, which is kind of slow down. But as Julio pointed out, he says the pass led him into Deontay Williams. I mean, he kind of, let him through, and, the receiver's going for the football. And you see later in the game, same thing happens with Stephen Dunbar, and this time Dunbar says, no, I don't want any of it. He short arms it. So he has to make the easy play a lot more, because he's certainly making the tough plays. He's just got to learn how to make those easy plays, and I think he'll be fine.
Okay, and Moj, you okay with the short week in Winnipeg Thursday for the Lions?
Yeah, it's going to be a very short week. I mean, one practice. Boys are off today. They're back tomorrow. Travel day Wednesday, game on Thursday. The one break that the Lions do catch is that Chris Strebler will be starting for Winnipeg instead of Zach Collaros. Of course, Collaros suspended for the game for violating the league's drug policy. So to me, that's a bit of a break. Yet at the same time, Winnipeg's been lying in wait. They didn't play in week one. They had a bye, and they get the Lions at home. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes down.
Rick says hi. Thanks for doing this.
You're also getting a ton of love on your backgrounds, Moj. This is now your thing. Is your Zoom?
Oh yeah, that's I got a beauty for Dollywall. Next time I'm on, you should just get me on just for the background of Dollywall.
Great.
It's vintage Dollywall. Everybody will owl when they see it.
I just appreciate you showing a picture of me with hair.
I
owe you one.
Oh.
Thanks, Moj. Safe
No
travels.
problem, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Moj.